Personal question for you, Mr. Smallwood. All right, context again. I'm gonna read.
Certainly.
So you've run a campaign based on no new taxes, no garbage fees, no landfill near Magnolia Elementary School, and then also infrastructure and quality of life. It no longer appears that new taxes, at least for now, or garbage fees are on the table. In fact, in your campaign advertisement insert in the most recent issue of the Cahaba Sun, you state that, I'm just going to do the quote, quote, both referring to Ben and Lisa here, voted to reimpose the garbage collection fee, ... and both voted to increase the sales tax paid in Trussville. Neither of those statements are true.
Okay.
How do you respond to that? Then I've got another question.
Well, if the nuances of that was impactful and negative, that certainly was not the intent. You know, campaigns sometimes get heated and no intent to anyone. I'm still going to be an advocate in the county or in any municipality of taxes hurt families and taxes hurt businesses. I've had a lot of business support here in Trussville because I've been an advocate of those businesses. If you drive around Trussville, you're going to see 8 out of 10 businesses that have a sign up are going to have my sign up. And you're going to say, why? Because during the rough times, I've been there for them. And I support those businesses. And think about this. When we increase taxes on a business, what are they going to do? It's going to impact their bottom end profits. So they have to pass that tax on to the customers. And it becomes a vicious cycle. So, and two, taxes hurt families. I think sometimes we don't understand this, but every year, about 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people are incapable of paying their property taxes, and those taxes go to the tax sale. And liens are placed on their houses, and it's a significant deal to those families. You hate that. It can do to medical bills, or it can be to loss of job, it can be to unemployment. A lot of factors come into play. Mental illness comes into play. So I'm not a huge proponent of raising taxes on people. I know how hard it is to collect because we collect from the businesses, we collect from the people. I hear the stories. You know, we're in bankruptcy court or probate court every day. I say that not always physically, but through our petitions, because so many people are filing taxes these days, or filing bankruptcy on their taxes. It's just one of those things, and it gets harder and harder to collect in this environment. And if families are struggling, I do not want to be on that end of making their misery worse. And I think there's ways that we can look to and look for, and ways to mitigate our expenditures, ways to cut excessive spending. I applaud both counselors for calling in the department heads and look for wasteful spending. We've done that on the county level. And we've right-sized the county. We've eliminated a lot of things over the years. And we reined in excessive spending and redundant professional contracts, whether they be engineering or whether they be accounting or whatever they may be. We looked at those hard and we looked at those fast, because when we hire qualified people for these positions of leadership, department heads, they bring with them a wealth of experience. And the more experience they have, and the more qualified people we have, the less dependent we become upon contracts, contract works, and those things. So we have to look at a broad, comprehensive plan to reduce expenditures and to work with the financial restraints that we have, and measurably put aside money in our reserves and cautiously spend those monies as they become necessary to spend. But I think acquisitions of land and all those things, they may be well intended, but in this climate or this environment, when sales tax are diminishing, we need to stay clear and stay away from those things. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Let me get back to part of this question.
Okay.
Though, like the garbage collection fee. While I personally think, this is just me, I think some of the communication from the city could have been cleaner. I also think, on the other hand, people that live here should educate themselves about how things work. They need to go to city council meetings. I've been at plenty where it's just me and Richard Epstein. Right? I have. But why, if the garbage fee, even if there was confusion around it, it was not passed. I'm not paying a garbage collection fee. why is that printed there that,
Let
that
me
they
get-
voted to reimpose it, and then the sales tax, which that wasn't done
I
either?
think they authorized, correct me if I'm wrong, both of you, you authorized the mayor to negotiate on behalf. Am I correct there?
Correct, but that was not to approve the fee.
Right. It wasn't approved fee, but I looked at the contract.
That's where the confusion
Okay, but
was.
let me
but
get back to my rationale.
fee.
I have a rationale behind that. I get calls from people like my good friend, the city manager, Ryan Dixon of Clay, called me a few years ago and said, hey, is there any way that we can put the garbage fee on the ad valorem tax bill like you do the fire fees? I said, not without legislation. Why do you ask? And I've been asked this question over and over again. He said, well, what happens is people are well-intentioned and they pay their fire fees up front, and then the credit card is declined or whatever reason. So guess what they start doing with the garbage? They start taking the garbage and putting it at the end of the street, in a ditch, behind the building, and they have to hire more people to go pick up that garbage, and they have complaints from the residents. Every city that has a garbage fee is in that same situation, that same fix. There is unintended consequences when you implement a garbage fee, tax, whatever you want to call it. It's unintended consequences that impact as far as call volume from people complaining about their neighbor's garbage, because some people just don't have the money or refuse to pay it. And those people create havoc for the rest of us who do. That's one of my reasons behind it. And two, I looked at the contract and I saw a fuel surcharge of 40%, 30%, 40%. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And I think we have to cap any type of contract which has a fuel surcharge of that significant amount, because if not, that is going to escalate the garbage service fee for our residents. And I'm just not a fan of it, because I just don't think it works. I think we try to find those dollars within our budget at all costs to pay for it, so we do not incur what the other cities around us, their experiences, that we do not incur that same experience.
Yeah, so
Can we interrupt?
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
we-
Let me.
but I don't want to lose the spot, so Gary. So let me, because he asked the question and I want to correct it
So-
while we're here.
Okay.
And as long as he's okay with that, because it was his personal
Go right
question,
ahead.
but he
Okay.
did say, correct me if
Yeah,
I'm wrong. So,
you said the fuel surcharge being in that contract. So that is in the original contract with the Cobble Waste Authority as well. So there's no change there. The only change to the contract was specific to creating this pay per
Okay.
month service, right? And I do appreciate you acknowledging that we didn't vote to increase sales tax. So I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely.
So, and I would like to, at some point, if I'm able, to address the accusation that the city has $300 million. Really, it's not an accusation. I just want to know how you get there, because I pulled the numbers, I've got them, and I said our city debt at the last forum was $155 million. And when I saw that in your thing, say $300 million, I went to our finance guys and I was like, hey, help me understand how he's getting to this number, because I've got the sheet with all of the bond service, the lines of credit, everything here. And I said 155, and even adding in the loop road, which we haven't completed yet, it wasn't on my list when I said 155. Our total debt's 161 million, with 68 being the Board of Education and 93 million being the city. Can you help me understand how you got to 300, just so I understand where you're coming from? You're the finance guy, so
I am the finance guy.
Yeah,
I've done
that's helpful.
finances for many, many years
Yeah.
on a large scale. And I think the wording in that advertisement was this: could be, could reach. I don't think it was definitive. in its
Fair. Okay.
context.
Okay.
So, think about this. We're pushing close to $200 million with the school and the combined city debt. Am I correct there?
161 million is what I've
My
got.
numbers are a little
Yes.
higher than that. I didn't loop them out and others. So let's just say, we say the school district is separate. Definitively, yes, they are separate, but they are dependent upon our success as we are dependent upon their success.
Yeah.
We're joined at the hip economically. And if we were to help them secure bond money for the school building and properties, or two school buildings in the future, that could easily escalate to $250, $300 million. It very well could if we're going
But
to put
that's
in
not
schools.
what you say. So, and then I'm sorry, can I interrupt? It's just too much.
So like I said, these are the personal
That's fair.
questions, but as long as you're okay with it, because you said, correct me if I'm wrong,
I absolutely did, and I'm just
Then I-
saying.
then
I
I'm
appreciate you
o-
trying to help me get to where you
then
want.
I'm okay with that. As if
Let me contextualize it. The setting here is, if we were to assist, which we do, the acquisition of bond money for our school system, I think that it would not be a stretch to say, I don't think construction costs have diminished. If we were to put 2 schools in place with land cost, I think we're looking at significantly probably $280 to $300 million without contradiction. I can't see us building 2 schools without that.
Yeah.
But part of that debt also includes retirement plans that a city is required to put in their list of debt.
That's correct.
That is not debt that we pay. That is what's required by the city to put that on each and every employee, which makes it go close to 200,000, but it's not actual debt.
200 million.
200 million,
Okay.
but it's not actual debt. So it's not what you said in here. You mentioned nothing about school buildings, so that's misleading. I actually thought it was a typo, but you've corrected that. If we can, because I don't think he answered the other question about the half-cent sales tax, that has never been brought up at a city council meeting to vote on a half-cent sales tax since I've been on council for 5 years. So I'm curious to where you got that information.
It was online. One of somebody's supporters put it on there about the half-cent sales tax proposition.
But we didn't. You said in here that we voted on that.
I don't think I did.
Let me find it. Let's see.
What I had, I typed it from it. It just said both voted to increase the sales tax paid in Trussville. And I think the rest of that line had something to do with the failed property tax vote.
It may have
Yes,
been
the last line. There would have been no need to raise sales taxes or impose garbage fees. Oh, where is it? The half-cent sales tax. Well, I can't find it right this minute, but I will.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for helping me get to where you are. I can see the stretch there, but obviously we're not going to issue bonds on something we don't have the ability to pay off. So we wouldn't pay for new schools if we didn't have a funding mechanism. But I see exactly. I can use the legalese. I can see where you're going.
I appreciate that back and forth conversation.
Sure.
And I did have, while Lisa looks, I did have, as part of that, because it was about garbage fees and stuff like that, I wanted to kind of link together something me and you have already talked about. But the Eastern area landfill, there was a story today, I think Birmingham said we're not closing it, but I kind of wanted to re-ask this to you again. It's obviously City of Birmingham. Do you feel like with these recent moves we've talked about, there is no garbage fee currently, no new taxes currently. Who knows what the future holds? None of us do. But do you think with some of these recent moves made by this particular administration and some of those platform, no garbage fees, no new taxes, do you feel like your campaign as we're getting closer is taking a hit? And if so, or if not, are there other things you're trying to shift your mind to focus on as we get closer?
No, I don't think at all our campaign's taking a hit. The polling information that we have is very encouraging, very good. I'm delighted that we have tabled, and correct me if I'm wrong here again, councilors, we've tabled the garbage contract, correct?
Yeah, it's off the table.
Is it off permanently or is it off the table?
I'm not going to box in a council for 8, 12 years down from now, but we understand that we've found the ability to balance this year's budget. We're working toward balancing next year's without it. We know the fix to SSUT is the long-term fix to our issues, and that will offset the trash costs. So we can get there, but we need the state to obviously address SSUT. So
I'm on board with you there.
Yes.
State. Okay. Miss, you have any redress?
About the garbage fee?
Yes.
I mean, like Ben said, we removed it from this council's agenda.
I want to thank both of y'all for taking the initiative to remove that.
Absolutely.
But I'm grateful
something that I have learned that as things and economies change over 20 years, I think any council and mayor needs to be extremely careful on what they promise, because 2002, when this was promised with Mayor Melton, things were completely different. Trussville was small, 7,000, 8,000 people, maybe not even that many. And I think you have to be very guarded because you don't know what the economy is going to be. COVID and everything is hit. SSUT, who in the world could have seen that coming and how that would affect Alabama cities? So nothing is completely off the table ever in a municipality because you don't know what's going to happen. We could have an economic downturn that, like an '08 again, where real estate could totally crash. You've got to be able to stop and pivot when you're in this position and understand what's best for the community at large so you can continue to pay services and provide services for the community. You did mention in here that we both voted to increase the sales tax paid in Trussville. We didn't make any such vote. So I think you need to be careful when you send out and accuse us of a smear campaign. You accused both of us of running a smear campaign, but yet this is what you put out, which has mistruths and things that are smearing us that we didn't actually do. You can look on my Facebook page and every mail out, I would never mail this out. Every mail out that I have done has been nothing smearing towards either one of my opponents. So think long and hard when you send these things out, because they have a backfire when you're accusing people of doing things that they didn't do.
Well, I've lived through the 08, 09, 010, 012, 012 economic downturn, and it was horrific for this county, for every city. It was horrible. People lost their houses in Trussville in unprecedented numbers, and it was horrific. We lived through the invalidation of county occupational tax, state occupational tax, through an advertisement era, and it affected over 1,000 jobs. It was the equivalent of losing a large factory. And we lived through those times. Reduction in forces, bankruptcies, all those things. And I would caution any mayor, any city councilman, as you have, to be vigilant, because the winds of the economy can shift and change in one night, in one day. And that's why I send caution that we have to maintain significant reserves. If we had a catastrophic storm come through this area, I'm not sure it will be prepared to recover from it, because it costs so much money. The county experienced in the 11, we were at the mercy of the feds, we were at the mercy of the Army Corps of Engineers. So we have to maintain a vigilant stand in regards to our spending posture, in regards to our savings, in regards to everything we think about. I've always say that serving is a sacred responsibility, a sacred honor to do those things. And, we can take issue with each other, but at the end of the day, we're going to be friends, and I want to support you if you win, and I'm going to champion your causes if you win, and I hope you do the same thing. And one of the things I am passionate about is that landfill. A writer for the AL.com, I'm going to say this: I respect writers. My dad was a writer, you're a writer, but I'm not going to let the ink of a pen of a writer persuade me to give up a fight against that landfill. Because if you were to read the engineering reports, it states that Trussville's aquifer is dangerously close to that landfill. And if that membrane were to rupture, it could contaminate our water source. Beyond that, and that is uncontroverted, it's in the report, it's online. Beyond that, I have family, I have friends that live in that area. In summer times, the volatile organic compounds are released, and it's unbearable to try to spend time in your yard. Why wouldn't we, as a community, stand firm to protect our water source, number one, and two, to protect the quality of life issues? One city councilman said no, but I've already spoken to the mayor, and he's open to dialogue. He's open to discussion over this. So I'm not going to bow down, and I would hope if one of these fine people win, that y'all champion that cause too, because it is important to Trussville. It's important to all of us here. And I just hope that you see the passion, how I feel about the residents over there in that area, Magnolia, and all the other areas over there that impacts this. But again, the entirety of Trussville, because again, our aquifers are at risk. None of us have forgotten the Moody land fires. Who would have ever thought a small dump would incur so much havoc on a community? And it took multiple jurisdictions extinguishing that fire, and the smoke, and people's houses were inhabitable for a period of time. I think we need to be proactive in this regard, in this measure, and I'm not taking it lightly. I'm not going to give up on it. If I'm not elected for some reason, I'm still going to fight passionately for those people over there, because I think we owe them that duty.
And I will quickly add, because I do agree there's an issue there. I am a realist. I understand the probability of getting it and unilaterally saying it can be shut down. I believe there is a mechanism in which we can hold them in compliance, right? I think we can utilize our resources effectively to observe, all right? I think we can talk about compliance and reporting. And I think that is a way, the best way to ensure that we're doing all we can to address the issues involved. I understand the legal cost associated with taking that battle on, and I think that is the best way to address it. I don't think we can shut it down, but hey, I'm hopeful if there is a way.
I believe Mayor Woodfin is a sincere man. I believe he's an honorable man, and I don't believe he would extend the invitation to speak on it if he didn't have some type of contributions to make to our quality of life.
Sure.
There's been a move among municipalities to move away from a landfill near the vicinity of where the homes are, and they've moved to this Chilton County Regional Landfill, which is a 100-year ADM qualified airfield space. And it just makes a lot of sense. It's in the middle of nowhere. We would take our garbage to places like that. It's economically feasible. It's proven. It works. And we need to bring Birmingham to the table and discuss the remedies and options way prior to litigation. Litigation will be a last resort or anything like that. But I just think our residents should expect that from us as leaders. And I'm willing to offer my resources and my help in that regard to make sure we get the discussion on the table to start with.
Yeah.
And however we got to fix it, I hope we can all agree that it needs to be addressed.
I 100% agree, but I will have to say, kind of like I live behind the railroad, it was there first. And the city of Trussville allowed this neighborhood to come in, which is unfortunate, knowing that landfill was there. My solace is hopefully they are maintaining, and I know that they are, much better than the Moody. You know, it's maintained at higher standards than the Moody dump was. Would I love it to be closed? Absolutely. But I don't know that it's feasible. And you're saying you have had conversations besides a text message, with Mayor Woodfin?
His staff, yes.
Pardon?
His staff, yes.
Okay,
Absolutely. One thing I want to add to that is, in regards to that, again, litigation cost, those things are reserved to the very end. And again, the developers of that substantially relied upon the city of Birmingham's contention that landfill was at capacity, and they requested additional expansion from ADM, and it was approved, vertical expansions. So now, instead of going wider, they've been going up. If we've all noticed, it's a growing issue that looms now over our residences. So, you know, the builders, we say that the landfill was there first, but they gave substantial reliance to those developers that place was going to be closed, and they didn't keep their word. So I think that is to be thought about as well in the context of our discussion.
I think the city also just made a good move by annexing in property to keep them from growing any further. So we are aware of it, and we would love for it to close, but I don't want to make claims to the public and get their hopes up for something that might be extremely hard to do and cost the entire city of Trussville a lot of legal fees to make that happen. So I am a realist as well. If we can figure out a way to do it, that would be great. But I don't like offering those kind of promises that more than likely aren't going to be able to happen.
Well, we can take our page from the city of Birmingham residences who've closed up a lot of places downtown that were emitting harmful pollutants through the years. Concrete plants, lime plants, there's probably 10 or 12 that were closed, and they all started with discussions from concerned people that they didn't want that in their area, they didn't want that neighborhood. And once that discussion was engendered, it got conversations started in legislative branches, in city council and mayor. But I think it does not hurt to have discussions with those people.
No, it does not.
I think it does not hurt to engage other municipalities to that end if it benefits our people. We're not talking about litigation cost again. We're talking about dialogue. Dialogue, it takes effort, but we're not talking about spending attorney fees.
And I will say, just from a historical context, to your point in the dialogue, there is historical context here that I think is important. The cities before and the councils before us have had that dialogue unsuccessfully. Right. So same with pending litigation. You know, that we've made efforts and made attempts unsuccessfully, unfortunately. But hey, while I'm a realist, I'm I can be optimistic in this case, and hopefully we can do something for it. So.